Hello gamers, The Last of Us franchise was groundbreaking and its HBO series is sparking renewed interest. So if you've recently beaten The Last of Us and are looking for something familiar to experience, these games share many of its best aspects. There are some truly fantastic games like The Last of Us out there. So if you are looking for more story-driven games, we've got you covered with the best games like The Last of Us. Number 7. Uncharted 4. The Last of Us fans will already be familiar with Uncharted, seeing as both franchises were created by Naughty Dog, with Uncharted coming first. Before Naughty Dog developed The Last of Us, the studio worked on the beloved Uncharted franchise, a series of games that offered an almost Indiana Jones-like cinematic experience. They're completely unconnected from The Last of Us post-apocalypse, but that's hardly a complaint. Nathan Drake's last adventure was the series' most introspective offering yet, and it really delivered in the story department. Clearly, Naughty Dog learned a lot of lessons from The Last of Us and applied them here to weave emotion into the narrative, which deals with growing up, settling down, and the tenuous bonds of family. A bombastic sayonara that takes the player from Scotland to the lost city of Libertalia. If you want action, Uncharted 4 has got it in droves, with the inclusion of the grappling hook invigorating the clever combat. Number 6. Tomb Raider series. Lara Croft is one of the most iconic characters in video games, but the reboot series that started in 2013 displays her in the most grounded light. Rather than present a pre-established Lara Croft, Tomb Raider lets fans see how the treasure hunter and ass-kicker got her start. The action-adventure title focuses on stealth and survival more than any of its predecessor titles, giving it a unique edge compared to her past experiences. Tense and action-packed, Tomb Raider is a must-play for any gamer who doesn't mind some blood in their eye as they solve puzzles. Tomb Raider series exploration and strong protagonists makes it similar to The Last of Us. Lara sets self-preservation aside to become a hero who protects her loved ones. Tomb Raider's platforming and action sequences make it a well-rounded game with great replay value. Number 5. Telltale's The Walking Dead. The Last of Us is arguably the most popular story about a man adopting a young girl and trying to survive in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. But it wasn't gaming's first incredible example of that concept. That honor belongs to Telltale Games' The Walking Dead series. When it comes to mirroring the relationship of father and daughter, Telltale's first season of The Walking Dead comes closest to The Last of Us. Sure, The Walking Dead is a point-and-click adventure game, but in terms of its story, which involves a father figure taking a young girl under his wing, both games are quite similar. It's also a fantastic choice for those who don't play games often, as The Walking Dead doesn't require twitch reflexes to complete. Bet you can't make it through this game without crying. Number 4. Dying Light 2: Stay Human. Dying Light is one of the better zombie game series due to its abundance of tense story and gameplay moments tied to visceral first-person combat. Like The Last of Us, the series sees you dealing with living and undead threats as the state of the world crumbles, leaving humanity desperate and untrusting. If you've already played the original or want a more refined experience, we suggest starting with Dying Light 2, which stars a brand new protagonist. The game offers streamlined parkour traversal complemented by a dynamic open world, and player-driven story chock full of meaningful choices. Number 3. Days Gone. Days Gone is a single-player narrative-driven experience that takes place within a post-apocalyptic world. Exploring the Pacific Northwest on a motorcycle makes up the majority of this game's exploratory elements. And once you hop off to handle some random tasks, many of those tasks will entail taking down hordes of shockingly fast freakers. You can tackle those freaker nest missions in a stealthy manner or go in all guns blazing if you truly want to test your skill. Days Gone is a pretty lengthy game, but it is a perfect combination of thrill and challenges. so prepare yourself for an emotional journey all the while. Number 2. A Plague Tale: Innocence and Requiem. One reason The Last of Us is so beloved is because of its story, which is arguably the best video game narrative ever. Like The Last of Us, A Plague Tale, Innocence and Requiem are survival horror games where resources are limited and far too many NPCs die in gruesome fashion. Unlike The Last of Us, where survivors are hounded by zombies, A Plague Tale's apocalyptic force is far more dangerous. Enough hungry rats to eat all of France. A Plague Tale's entries hit many of the same beats as The Last of Us. The games star a young protagonist who has to guard a younger sidekick they don't initially like but eventually care for, and in order to survive, they have to make many questionable decisions. Just like The Last of Us, the game's story is a memorable tale about the loss of innocence that will tug at your heartstrings. Number 1. Resident Evil 4. I don't know what more you could ask for in this stunning remake of Resident Evil 4. The game is simply phenomenal, not just as a remake but also setting itself up to be a real AAA single-player experience. It falls into what you'd call the standard to be a game worth the price tag at its year of release. Resident Evil 4 is just as much of a masterpiece today as it was in 2005. Here we have, in my opinion, the best remake of Resident Evil. Powerful and mastered to the end, this remake makes Capcom's masterpiece even more monumental with magnified, new sequences, but also even more effective gameplay and a grandiose staging. The novelties of gameplay further nourish the survival aspect while the atmosphere becomes much more believable and terrifying than the original game. If you're the Last of Us fan and never played Resident Evil at all, this one is a must-play. You'll be satisfied with what it has to offer. With its balanced action and horror elements, it has improved greatly on the resource aspect compared to its older release as well. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel.